Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Clueless Capitalists, where we discover interesting startups, interview founders, and help you become less clueless with angel investing. My name is Razi.
And I'm Osman, and welcome to the Clueless Capitalists.
So, in this episode, we're going to be speaking to Jomee Jomaa. Jomee Jomaa is a real estate fintech platform that is making land investments easy and accessible for all Bangladeshis. We have the founder and CEO of Jomee Jomaa, Alvi Sakib. Welcome to the episode, Alvi.
Thank you, Razi. Hey, Usman.
So we're going to just jump straight into it. And we were just talking before the call started that Alvi, we'd met before when we were in Bangladesh a year or two ago, and you were talking about this as a problem that needed to be solved. And it's great to see that you've actually progressed this idea into something quite substantial. So I'm going to open it up to you and let you go through your pitch deck, and then we'll ask a few questions. How does that sound?
No, it sounds good. Before we even go into the pitch deck, a quick thing that I'll add here is, remember, Usman, when we were talking, one of the things that I really wanted to work on was the wealth concentration problem in Bangladesh. And it's not very different from a lot of other countries where wealth is very concentrated amongst the top 1 to 5% of citizens. But in Bangladesh, it's actually getting worse and worse over time. And even our current leader, Dr. Muhammad Yunus, one of his 3 targets involves eliminating wealth concentration. So he goes and says that it's the 3 zeros. One of the 3 zeros is zero wealth concentration. And I think with Jomee Jomaa, we can play a significant part towards that. So that being said, we'll go right into the pitch deck.
All right, cool. Let's do this.
So Jomee Jomaa is basically a platform that fractionalizes land properties, and those fractions are then listed on our platform for users to invest. And anyone with a Bangladeshi bank account or MFS account can create an account in Jomee Jomaa and start investing with just 1,000 taka, which would be approximately $10. So going into it, the problem we're trying to solve is in Bangladesh, as I was telling you, only the most financially successful people, let's put it that way, can invest in land today, mainly because of these 3 problems, right? The first is it is exorbitantly expensive to buy a piece of land which is lucrative or which is poised to grow over the next 3 to 5 years. Let's say somehow you're able to manage that money, or you pull in a group of people, your friends, and pull the money in together to invest in that piece of land. The next thing that'll become a problem for you is the extensive paperwork and the complicated administrative steps. Unlike Singapore, US, or a lot of the other developed countries, when you look at the paperwork that is involved in investing in land in Bangladesh, it is very overwhelming. It's rudimentary, not a lot of digital steps involved, and the condition of even the papers that you're dealing with, it's hard to understand what's even in there, if all of the necessary documents are present or not, if all of the documents presented to you are legit or not. And so all of those things for a novice first-time investor is quite difficult to handle. And lastly, once, let's say, you have gone through these steps and acquired the piece of land, then it becomes a problem for you to ensure that you still maintain the ownership of the land and that not anyone else can come and claim that it is theirs or a part of your land property is theirs. So these are the 3 problems that we have experienced and through research found that are the most difficult problems to solve for people who want to invest in land. And so we thought, as a company, if we can go ahead and take care of these, it'll add a lot of value for our user base. And the way we're trying to solve this problem is through making all of it digitalized, right? So Jomee Jomaa as a company, we have the experts who have been buying and selling land and have been dealing with all of the things we just mentioned about for about 30 years now. And coupled with that expertise, when we acquire a piece of land and then we fractionalize it into a lot of different units, only as many units necessary as to make each unit worth $10. So let's say if I buy a piece of land that's worth $500,000, we will break it down into 50,000 units so that each unit is worth $10. And so once we do the digitalization and also the fractionalization of the land, we just put it up on our platform so that it becomes easy and accessible for anyone with a smartphone to use. They can just go ahead, create their Jomee Jomaa account, connect, and then pay with their bank account or bKash, which is a very popular MFS service in Bangladesh, or any of the other payment methods that they choose. And in the background, Jomee Jomaa is taking care of all of the legal, administrative side of things, so they don't have to worry about it. It's as simple as ordering pizza from one of the food apps that people do. And then going into the market size, right? Like, how big of a problem are we trying to solve with this? So going into it, the addressable market, so let's say how much volume of land is being bought and sold every year in Bangladesh, that number is 14.5 billion, and it's growing at a 15 to 17% rate annually. So we're talking about a lot of land that is traded. And out of this $14.5 billion of land that is being bought and sold, as I was telling you, only the top 3% of the population can participate. So a large segment of the population or Bangladeshi citizens are kind of kept away from this market because of the barriers to entry we had mentioned before. Out of those 14.5 billions, that's what we are considering as our TAM, or addressable market. But then if we talk about the serviceable market, we have to bring in our user base. So the people we are targeting are between the age of 18 to 40. These are young individuals who are tech savvy or who have been using a smartphone or digital devices for a significant portion of their life. And they also earn 60,000 Bangladeshi takas a month, which would equate to about $500 per month. So if you are someone who's between 18 to 40 years of age and you earn BDT 60,000, which is about $500, you are someone who Jomee Jomaa would want to target. Now, this population tries to save about 20% of their monthly income. So that would equate to about $12 billion if we take the TG of 10 million. Let me break it down a little more. So there are 10 million individuals between this age of 18 to 40 and earn $500 a month in Bangladesh. Out of this 10 million, if all 10 million save 20% of their income, annual income, that would equate to $12 billion. So that would be the serviceable market of Jomee Jomaa. It's like saying that if every target customer of ours choose to open an account with us and put all their savings into Jomee Jomaa investments, that would be $12 billion every year. Now, granted, that is a very ambitious aim. So we're also breaking it down into what is actually obtainable. So for us, we are saying that if we can do 3.75% to about 5% of this market, then that would be about $450 million to $550 million in serviceable, obtainable market every year. And we are also saying that if we can achieve this 3.75 to 5% target in a span of 8 to 10 years, then Jomee Jomaa's asset under management getting added every year will be for $50 million. In terms of product, since we understand it's a fairly new concept in Bangladesh, we wanted to make sure that the UI and UX is very intuitive, easy to use, no matter how complicated things are on the background, in the back end, or in terms of land dealings. For a user who's using our platform, it'll be as easy as ordering their Pathao ride, which is a ride-sharing platform in Bangladesh, or ordering their food from Foodpanda. So keeping the UI and UX super easy, we also wanted to make sure that there is room for us to involve blockchain if we want to. So we already have the stack ready. We are not currently using blockchain. I just want to make it clear to everyone, but we have the technology ready for us to move to blockchain if we need to do that, and as technology progresses and adoption increases in Bangladesh. And lastly, the platform will allow users to see the growth rate, how much they have earned, and what's the current price of all of their land investments and their portfolio on the platform from one single place. So that's also an added benefit, as opposed to, let's say, if you had invested in multiple lands all by yourself and kept it in a safe or kept it in a drawer that you use. So all of those documents would be hard for you to deal with, and you wouldn't be getting updates from your land every month or so. But from Jomee Jomaa, you're being able to track all of your investments from one central place. Going into the business model, this is how Jomee Jomaa's business model works, which is, let's say if someone invests 1,000 taka, as I was telling you, about $10 with us, from there, we will be making 80 taka, so about 80 cents. And basically 8% of their investments would be Jomee Jomaa's direct revenue. And this is the breakdown, which is 2% is, I would say, the platform fee. So that is how much Jomee Jomaa would charge users for using the platform. 20% is the profit share. So let's say you invest $1,000 or $10 today, and tomorrow your investment grows to 20. That is 100% return in about 4 to 5 years. So out of those new $10 of profit, Jomee Jomaa would keep $2 and you would get $8. That's the profit split we have with our users. And finally, because we're dealing with a lot of like a lot of properties being bought and sold, so we have exclusive agreements with our real estate agents who normally the rule of thumb is they'll take 2% of the transaction. So from the buyer, they're charging 2%. From the seller, they're charging 2%. For us, it would be 1% and 1%. When buying, we would pay 1% of the buy price. When selling, we would pay 1% of the sell price as commission. So the 2% that we save in commission from buying and selling, that's also direct revenue for us. And so these are the three ways Jomee Jomaa would make about 8% of the transaction. And granted that this 20% is split across 5 years, is because we are holding the property for 5 years. So every year we make about 4% of the property's value, because our estimate is that in a period of 5 years, there will be 100% growth, or typically it's conservative, but Jomee in Bangladesh or land properties in Bangladesh, especially the ones we target for, would at least grow by 20% per year. We can go more into the business model. I'm sure you guys will have questions later on, so I'll keep that for later. The go-to-market strategy that we have been utilizing and has been working pretty well for us is number one, corporate and university partnerships. So let's take a university, for example. We will reach out to a student club in the university who we would like to collaborate with, and we'll organize a workshop or seminar kind of a thing for students who are interested in investing in land, and just explain the whole model of how we have made it super affordable, even for a student, to start investing early on in their life. And so the same thing goes for corporate partners as well. So we will go into an office and directly speak to the employees about what we are doing at Jomee Jomaa. And what that allows us to do is interact with our potential user base directly. And that face-to-face meeting or that face-to-face conversation really helps with the conversion of someone who's just interested or have previously only heard about Jomee Jomaa to now understanding the whole thing and becoming an investor with Jomee Jomaa on the spot. Second bit comes to B2C directly, which is utilizing our social media platforms and also partnering up with a little bit of influencers in this space to basically drive the point of what Jomee Jomaa really does for users. So anyone who has seen our social media ads or who have heard about Jomee Jomaa from one of the influencers would at least be curious to understand more about what Jomee Jomaa is doing, and will likely come to our website or even schedule a call with us directly so we can walk them through what is it that we do. And last of all, we create a lot of educational content, and we also do webinars every month, very similar to this, what we're doing right now. And through these webinars, a lot of people also get to understand what Jomee Jomaa really does for them, and that has been a very good conversion creator for us in terms of acquiring new users. Let's go into who the Jomee Jomaa people or team is, or who the team consists of. You already know me, I'm Alvi, but my co-founder is Ayaz, who is a childhood friend. We have gone to school together. After our 12th grade, we kind of lost touch because I went to study in the US. He was studying at Brack University in Bangladesh. But when I was thinking about building Jomee Jomaa, a friend suggested that, hey, you should talk to Ayaz. He has been working for a very similar company in Netherlands. And I was like, oh yeah, sure, let me talk to him. And he has been the tech lead of iVestor, which is the Netherlands-based company. And he was telling me that it's a very good time at which I have approached him, is because he has been looking to do something in Bangladesh as well. And this is a problem he personally feels really close to and wants to solve. So that's how we kind of partnered up. So it was good that we already knew each other and we have been childhood friends. It was easy to connect and kind of bounce ideas off of each other early on. But now it has become a very strong partnership between the two of us. Then in terms of strategy and growth, we have Samiha, who has been doing a wonderful job of getting people to understand what Jomee Jomaa is, and also creating the pipeline of new users who want to explore the Jomee Jomaa model and see how Jomee Jomaa helps to create wealth through investing in land. She has been an ex-founder herself as well. So her startup's name was Bonton Connect. They were solving the issue of accessibility to internet in Bangladesh. And because she comes from that startup background or having the founder mindset, it has been really helpful for all of us to kind of utilize that, but also to very easily be able to connect to her. And lastly, Tasin Bhai. So Tasin Bhai he is someone who has formally studied design. So not a lot of design. There are a lot of really good designers in Bangladesh, but not a lot of them have formally studied design. So he went to Chicago in the US to study design for 2 years as a master's program, and then has taught in the University of Notre Dame in Indiana, USA. Now currently is also a professor at State University of Missouri. So what he does is kind of design consulting, I would say, but also is the person who is setting all of our design guidelines and making sure that everything that is publicly facing on Jomee Jomaa is verified or approved by him. And his experience with design, or his wealth of knowledge in terms of like what makes things user-friendly or easy to the user's eyes, has been super helpful for us. Now, getting into the competitive analysis space, there isn't a lot of investment options for Bangladeshi citizens, but the ones which are there and which are popular are mainly fixed deposit accounts or Sanchoy Patro, which are government bonds, more on the safer side of things. In terms of even some alternate investment options, which are not as popular but very highly growing, are iFarmer, which is another alternate investment platform that allows users to invest in agriculture. Goldkinen is what Usman was mentioning earlier a little bit. It's like a platform which allows users to invest in fractional units of gold. WeGrow, again, is agriculture investing, and Biniyog.io is work order finance investing, or basically investing in SME or smaller businesses, shops, and things like that. So with these alternate investments coming up and becoming popular, there was a space where we saw that land investing was missing. And so Jomee Jomaa is trying to create that particular platform where now people can invest in fractional units of land. If we look at this graph here, we would say that with Jomee Jomaa, land investments become safe, pretty minimized risk, only a little riskier than Sanchoy Patro, which is government backed, or gold, which is very widely invested across the world. But in terms of returns, we haven't seen a platform which is able to beat the kind of returns that Jomee Jomaa would be able to promise its users. So return wise in the country, nothing beats the return that comes from land. And this has been historic, we're basing it off of historical data since the time of Bangladesh's independence in 1971. For example, gold has grown about 14 times in the last 20 years, whereas land has done 27x. So 27 times, so there's a big margin over there. So things like that. I mean, Bangladesh, economics-wise, a lot of people, very small country, not a lot of land available. So demand for land is always very high and the price is always growing super fast.
Yeah.
Right, getting off.
What is the investment that you're looking for? How you're planning?
Sounds good. Yeah. So we have gotten some recent media coverage.
The media coverage, yeah.
Yeah. And finally, in terms of ask, we're looking to raise somewhere between $300,000 and $500,000. We've already raised $1,000. So I mean, $100,000. To close this round, we would need another $200,000 to $300,000. In terms of use of the funds, we're going to use it to execute our go-to-market strategy, as we have already told about earlier, partnering up with different organizations and then in spending money on reaching our user base digitally. That would be through social media platforms, collaborating with influencers, etc. We'll also need to build out the customer support and service teams even further. So right now we have these teams, but we will need a lot more if we are to scale to the level that we are looking to. And lastly, we have to increase the testing capacity a little bit if we want the products to be rolled out a little faster. So all in all, that also will give us a good enough runway for another 2 to 3 years. And I would think that'd be safe enough for us to keep building this platform and scaling in the meantime.
Cool. So I'll just kick it off really. Thinking in terms of like the pitch that you were giving, I think I understand the nature of the fact that you want to increase social mobility by allowing people to invest in different asset classes, one being property. But my question then is, who actually owns the land? Is that Jomee Jomaa? And who decides what you do with the land? How do you develop it? How do you increase its value over time? What's the mechanism for that?
Right. So the land will be officially under Jomee Jamaa's name throughout the period of this investment. And what that does is no one individual user will be able to decide what to do with the land, right? Jomee Jomaa has the final say on when we are selling it, although we put a maturity period. So let's say if we say we're going to sell it 5 years down the line, that means we're going to sell it in 2029. But due to different circumstances, or let's say if there is a one-off event, we reserve the right to push it by 6 months, or even pull it forward by 6 months. So the sale or exit timeline, who we are selling to, and what price, everything is decided by Jomee Jomaa. So we are kind of like the user's agent in this case, who's working in the user's best interest.
So the intention is really just to buy land and sell it in 5 years' time. Is that so?
Yes.
So let's say you buy a building, a commercial building, in 5 years' time, renovations or anything like that done to the property, that's just left alone. You don't do anything with it, or
right.
what?
So with commercial properties, we would have to do that. Jomee Jomaa only buys like land, which is empty pieces of land. And the way we choose these land plots are based on what is happening around it. So let's say if really large road is being created very nearby, or if the government has different development plans in the area where we're buying the land, then that would mean the price of this land would shoot up as this development gets completed. So these are the kind of areas we look for, which are poised to double in value over a period of say 3 to 5 years.
Okay, so this is literally pure land banking here. If I was to use the terminology that I think Singaporeans would be familiar with, land banking, where you buy property buy land that hasn't been developed yet, but is earmarked for further development in the future, and hopefully the value of that land increases over that 5-year period.
Yes.
It sounds like if Jomee Jomaa is the one that owns the land, it sounds like a lot of the capital is going to be tied up to buying expensive pieces of land. So that means you need a lot more funds.
Jomee Jomaa owns the land, but we buy it using the user's funds, right? So the users are giving us the funds to buy this piece of land. So the way it works right now is, as Razi was mentioning, for the first 1, 2, 3 plots of land is when we go ahead and outright buy that piece of land. So yeah, it is tied to the capital. But as we scale, we have seen that we'll be able to raise this money from users over a period of a month. So we'll be able to keep circulating that money fairly quickly.
When did the platform launch? When did you have a workable platform?
We had a workable platform in January this year, but we started actually commercializing it from end of March.
And how many property listings do you have right now? How many land listings do you have right now?
Right now, we have one land. It's valued at about $500,000.
No, I was just gonna say this leads me on to the next question, really, in terms of the maturity of the Bangladeshi market. Because I mean, my question would have been, Singaporeans especially are very familiar with real estate investment trusts, and it doesn't seem like that type of thing exists in Bangladesh. So when you're, a real estate investment fund is a special structure which buys commercial property or buys industrial property, and then, it's generating generating income and revenue. Here, the one real estate investment trust don't seem to be present in Bangladesh, but then the land that you're buying as well, it's not income generating. It's literally just in the hope that it will increase in value over a 5-year period of time.
Right. I think you can draw a close comparable or a close parallel with investing in gold. Like, let's say if you buy gold today, it's not like gold is going to generate income for you, but you for sure know that over a period of time, it's going to really appreciate in value. So people in Bangladesh, it has been a no-brainer for them. Like, we haven't had to explain to users that land investing is the way to go. It has been actually aspirational for them. They come to us saying that, hey, I have been wanting to do this for so long, like as long as I can remember, but I just couldn't afford to do it. Now that I see I have a platform that allows me to do that, I for sure now want to start investing in land, because land has always been generating the highest level of growth or returns for any investor that I've seen, and we have all just been missing out on it because we were priced out. So that is what has been going on for number one.
It reminds me of this. So in Singapore, there used to be this Canadian company that would sell land. So what they'll do is they'll buy big pieces of land in, I think, in Calgary or in Alberta in Canada. They'll parcel it up and then they'll sell it to investors. And the idea, same thing, the land wasn't income generating, but you hold it for 5 years, 8 years, 10 years, and then they will sell it off and then you get a return. So that was the model. So I think the market here is quite familiar in Singapore and Malaysia with that kind of model. But the challenge I think that people would face if that was they would have to pay annual fees, and sometimes the land wouldn't mature or they wouldn't get an exit until like way beyond the expected maturity date, mainly because there was no buyer for the land and the company couldn't exist.
Right. So, and that is the challenge that countries like Canada, even America would face, right? Because there's so much land, like it's such a big country and the number of people over there are not as concentrated. Versus this model is perfect for Bangladesh. Bangladesh needs land for sure. Like there is no two ways about it. It's like the size of the state of New York, or like half of the state of New York, and then take all of like our population size is half of America as well. So like if we bring all of or half of the population of the America into the state of New York, that's how concentrated it would be. So for us, buying and selling land hasn't been that difficult because the demand for land is always there.
And currently, like, how do you earn the trust of the investors? How many investors do you have at present, and how do you earn trust of people who trust them?
Now we are on point. So this is what Jomee Jomaa's challenge will be. Investing in land is the way to go, but why should they do it with Jomee Jomaa and how can they trust us? And like any other platform which has been offering alternative investments, as I was mentioning, iFarmer, WeGrow, Binyogayo, it is first off from people who are excited about the idea and model, so they come on first. They're the ones who are the earliest adopters, and once they use it, okay, I think I forgot to mention one very crucial part about the model, which is we also evaluate the price of the land every 3 months to check how much of an appreciation we're receiving, and that price is updated on the platform. So users also have a secondary market where, let's say if you come in and invest $10 today and approximately a year down the line you see that the price has become $12, so there's a 20% profit, you can sell your unit for $12 to the next user who's coming on board and buying units, so they can buy units off of you. So with that secondary market introduced, users can actually sell their land units every 3 months, or actually whenever they want to. And so early on, some of the users have also taken that exit. They have generated profits, and through the word of mouth, and also we take user testimonials and publish it on our social media and platforms. So when other users get to see some of these people are also recognized faces. So all in all, that is what is helping us build that trust amongst people. But of course, trust building is going to take some time.
One of the things that was missing in the slides, I mean, normally when we speak to early stage startups, right, they on their deck they always have like their current backers, who are their board of advisors, and usually the board of advisors are maybe linked to, like in your case, might be linked to a financial institution, might be linked to a land department somewhere, or you're doing like who are your initial investors or your backers. I mean, we didn't see any of that. So is there anyone that is backing you but is not in your deck?
Yeah. So we have advisors. We have a group of advisors as well. We have spoken to prominent bankers who are coming on as mentors, advisors as well. So I would say Bragg Bank. We have spoken to the chairman of Bragg Bank as well, and he's very excited by the idea. So he was like, "Yeah, let me know when you have that scope to bring, or when the next investment round comes in, so I can join the board and things like that." So we've also spoken and gotten feedback from him.
Okay, the other challenge that we've seen is that with, like if you were to talk to CreoShop when they first started out, their big issue was not the technology platform itself, it was the fact that the maturity of the people using the technology platform wasn't there. So there is other like unique, demographic issues that you see. People are used to owning the land outright. Are they going to be resistant to adopting a platform for fractional ownership? Even simple things like people had a mobile phone, but they didn't want to download the app because the type of mobile phones they had were limited in storage and so forth. So they didn't want to download another app. Are you seeing any of those types of things?
With CreoShop, I think the target demographic was a little different. Like they were going for SME owners, right?
Yeah,
and these are individuals who are a little older, who probably are not very tech savvy. And so I would assume their adoption, like they had to really go in, teach every one of them like how to, they were asking them to do through their application, mobile application. For us, to make things a little easier, we are targeting the more tech savvy crowd, which is like, as I was mentioning, 18 to 40-year-old individuals who have been growing up with social media, with using a lot of their mobile for emails and other things. So with them, and also understandably so, not all of them will be fairly interested in investing in land. So also kind of baking in the perspective that we will have to get early adopters out of individuals who are interested in investing. So that has made our leads fairly warm. These are individuals who already have kind of heard of us, seen us somewhere, went in and signed up on our platform. And so every single person who signs up, we kind of have a call with them to walk them through what we do. And that makes things a little easier.
Alvi, how big is your team size and what's your current valuation?
The team size is at this point 11 people on the payroll. We also have a team of real estate agents, which is about 30 individuals, but these are not people on the payroll. They work on the basis of commission. But yeah, the 11 individuals or corporate employees wise, that's the team. And in terms of burn, it is close to 9 lakhs a month, which would be about 800. So it would be about 8,000 USD.
Okay, and then you have enough, you've raised enough to have a runway of what, 2 years?
No, we're looking to raise enough to have a runway of 2 years, but I think right now we have about like 9 months-ish.
And what's the current valuation that you are raising at?
We haven't really put a valuation on it. We are raising through safes, but we have used a cap of $5 million. But that is not the valuation, I would say. It's more like a cap. So valuation will have to be determined when the first institutional investor comes in.
Can you tell me of other similar startups in the region that have done really well, that are also in the fractional investment space?
There are actually quite a few of them, but prominent ones are, I would say, Smart Crowd is doing really well in the Middle East. Strata Prop is doing really well in India. And then there is an Indonesian one, Grog. So quite a few in the region that people can look at and see the model.
What is the Indian one called again? I couldn't catch the name.
Strata Prop, STRATA PROP. So only caveat is all of them are doing commercial real estate as well, or more, their portfolio is more in commercial real estate. Whereas for Bangladesh, it just made more sense for us to do it heavily on land, is because the kind of returns that land generates in Bangladesh, commercial real estate does not.
Well, the thing about, I think the reason why they have commercial is because, like what Osman was alluding to earlier, is that when you have commercial property, it can immediately start generating income and revenue for everyone, right, involved. off, and it helps up with your operations, and it also keeps the investors happy.
Right. So in terms of the user base, yes, some would be looking for, what they call it is the income generating part of it. And so that's why we have introduced the secondary market, as I was alluding to earlier, is anyone who needs to, let's say, get a constant source of return can sell a little bit of their portion every month. So that way they are being able to generate the kind of returns, or like, let's say if I don't want my return all at the end, I want it monthly, there is a scope for users to be able to do so just by selling small fractions of their investments.
Okay, so let me understand that secondary market. You've created units which are $10 per unit, and then over time that goes up to, let's say, in 5 years' time, you'd expect it to be, let's say, $50 per unit.
Okay.
But in the meantime, let's say in year one, it's now worth $20. I would sell my units, like a portion of those units to somebody else.
So yeah, so let's say you have bought 100 of those units, right, at a $10 mark. So your portfolio value was 1,000 when you started. Now at the end of the year, you're seeing that it has become $20. So now your portfolio value is $2,000. Yeah, you can sell, let's say, 100 of those units, and not 100. You had 100. So let's say you can sell 10 of those units, and so from those 10, you would generate $200. And so you can sell 10 units every year for the 5 years. That would be 50, and then at the end you would get another 50 of those units sold. So you get to choose if you want to sell, when you want to sell, if you want to buy more, when you want to buy. And that's what we have seen some of the users do, which is they have short-term goals. Like, let's say they're planning for a year-end trip and they want to be able to save towards it, but also help the compounding rate of investing help them get there faster. They have also invested on the platform and they sell their units, cash it out, and go on the trip at the end of the year.
Okay, so now my question is, you've talked about a 9-month runway. Let's say you don't raise any money. I've invested and I've put money into a property. You go bankrupt in 9 months' time. What happens to that property, and what happens to my investment?
Yeah, so your investment is still, so Jomee Jomaa doesn't stops working, as in terms of it does not onboard more properties or does not onboard more users, but it will still keep the properties currently that we have in the portfolio and the user base. So at the time of maturity, which is currently 2028 for us, that's when Jomee Jomaa will sell the land, and then all of the users who currently are investors will have a claim on that sold piece of land. So real estate wise, your unit is or your investment is safe regardless of what happens to Jomee Jomaa. Well, Usman Rezi, thank you so much for doing this. It's been great to actually explain what we do to individuals who are not even in Bangladesh. I hope it wasn't too difficult to understand what we were doing. But from a Bangladesh user-based perspective, land has always been that one thing that people wanted to invest in. So our whole point was, how can we make it happen? And we're really glad we got there.
Now, I think the model is pretty straightforward to understand. It's I think what people are looking at is, when you're looking at other markets like in the US and in Europe, the real estate investment trusts are a thing. And I think some people are just really struggling to really understand how this hasn't developed, considering the value of land in Bangladesh and how, what's this particular development of real estate investment from the Bangladesh market, considering the scarcity of land, the value of it, and how potentially a real estate investment trust does make sense for most people.
No, for sure.
Okay.
In my experience, I'll just say that technology advancements, not advancements, more so I would say adoption in the Bangladesh market has been one of the key factors which has been holding this off, number one. And number two is, even if you look at it today, most of the people who are heavily investing in land or I'd say land investors are also people who are not very tech savvy. These are individuals who are like our grandparents. They own a lot of the pieces of lands that exist in Bangladesh today. And so the land market also caters to these individuals, and they haven't really had the need to incorporate technology. The people who use technology are of our generation, like we're the tech savvy individuals. And we have always thought that land investing is out of reach for us. And so we have never tried tying in technology with land. So up until now, I come from a family of real estate investors as well. Like both my grandparents have invested in land. Actually, maternal grandparent, like father bought my paternal grandfather's piece of land. That's how they got to it. My parents got to me. So ultimately, we have been doing it for a very long time. And so I thought, I understand the land operational piece or side of things. I understand technology. I've worked in technology for the last 10 years. So why don't I tie the two industries that I am familiar with? And in between that, or between the marriage of these two, create value for the end users who are people of my generation.
Okay, Alvi, thank you so much for sharing about Jomee with us. And what we'll do is we'll leave your LinkedIn and your details in the description. So whoever has enjoyed this pitch and wants to have a further conversation with Alvi, feel free to connect with him. And if you enjoyed this episode, please remember to subscribe and like the episode. Thank you.
Thank you, Razi. Thanks, Usman. Talk later.